Are you fully on board with things theoretically? You understand that the more we try to stop anxiety, the more anxious we feel. But you're wondering what to do to be more accepting, what to do to be more okay to feel anxious. If this has been your question, then this episode is for you. In the open eye method, we're going to get as practical as it is possible on our way of leaving the struggle and finding ourselves in a place of peaceful sleep and peace of mind. Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Insomnia Insight. In this episode, I want to share something that I've been pondering and pondering for years, really. And over the past months or weeks, something has dawned upon me that I want to share with you. And it is how to practically arrive at a place where we're no longer trying so much to escape anxiety, to escape hyperarousal, to escape wakefulness at night, to escape all the things that we have been attempting to escape. And the reason I really want to talk about this is that I get this question about what to do practically when we understand theoretically all the time. The question goes something like this. I understand the theory, Daniel, but what can I do to be more okay with feeling anxious? What can I do to be more accepting? What can I do to not be so resistant? Something like this. This type of question is one that I get all the time, and I feel like now I have something new. I have something that is as practical as it can get that I really want to share with you. And I call it the open eye method because it's about clarity and honesty and looking at how we've approached things in the past and how we're approaching things in the present moment as well. And to summarize it, and this probably will not make sense now, but I want to start with kind of a definition of the open eye method. And I wrote it as following. So the open eye method is about letting non-doing fade your anxiety by honestly exploring the doing that has created it. And again, probably it sounds kind of fuzzy now, but this kind of sets the tone, and this will be very clear to you after this episode. So the question here again is for someone who understands the theory and wonders what to do. So I'm gonna share with you how I've approached this currently in coaching situations. So again, somebody asked me, Daniel, I understand everything in theory, but what can I do to be more okay with feeling anxious? Now, here is where I nowadays answer the question with another question, and it goes like this. What do you do now when you're feeling anxious? Or what have you done up until now when you have felt anxious? And if the person now does some introspection and answers with honesty, they may say something like this. When I start feeling anxious, I try to just ignore it, I try to distract myself, and sometimes that works and it goes away. But other times it doesn't work, and then I may do some breathing exercises. When that doesn't work, I may take the dog for a walk, or I may take some medication. Something like this may become a very honest answer. And this answer is actually very, very, very helpful because now we are practical. This is as practical as it gets. This is like the hands-on level. Now we're seeing things with clarity because we're seeing the efforts, and the efforts are the things we have done with the intent of not feeling anxious, right? It's not that there's any problem with taking your dog for a walk, but it becomes a problem when the intent with that is to not feel anxious, because anxiety and all our emotions and hyperarousal as well, which comes from emotions, they are like a balloon or something like that, or a ball of some kind filled with air. When we try to push it underwater, it just creates this pressure. It naturally wants to be in the open. It naturally wants to be released. And when you create this pressure, it just builds and builds and builds. And this is because uh, thoughts and emotions are a way that our brain communicates with us. And when we say like, I don't want this communication, then the communication is not transmitted, and it becomes like this unrepressible force that just wants to be heard, right? So going back to our example here, when somebody says, these are the things I've done up until now when I felt anxious, and we fully realize that these are efforts, these are attempts to block anxiety, these are the things that have kept it expanding. Now we are at the most practical level. Now we see things with clarity. And now we can take it to the next step, which is to see that when you no longer attempt to ignore, to do breathing exercises or walk your dog with the intent to reduce anxiety, this is the answer. When you're no longer doing these things, then you are accepting, then you are willing to feel it, then you are not resisting. And so again, it can sound a little bit intangible, but this is the most practical level it can get to. And you have done something here. When you've answered this question honestly, you have done some honest inner work. You explored, the inner workings of your mind, right? And you've opened your eyes. So this is what the open eye method is all about. And from this honesty, what you would like to happen automatically happens. So the way I see it is that when you have opened your eyes in this way, then you have illuminated the path so clearly. Your brain can see that, aha, without these intents, without these efforts, then there is this willingness to experience anxiety, and that will lead to this communication being delivered. The balloon is out of the water. Everything just gets easier. Now, the tricky part here is, of course, that now there's nothing we can do, right? There's nothing we can do to go in and manipulate our subconscious to make it to make it stop all the efforts immediately. This is a subconscious process that the brain just has to figure this out by itself. We don't have access. We don't have conscious access to that part of the brain. So this is the tricky part. We've done when we've done this like open eye method and we see the path with clarity, then we have to just let the brain figure it out, let the subconscious figure the rest out. Now, I want to add one more thing to this. And by the way, we're going to do something we've never done before towards the end of this this talk, which is going to be maybe a minute or so. But anyways, just remember that all of this is not an invitation for self-criticism at all. Because what can happen is when we open our eyes and we see that, oh my gosh, I've done all these 47 things every time I felt anxious, or every time I couldn't sleep, or every time I felt hyper aroused, then that can lead us to go like, oh no, why have I done this? How could I have gotten myself into this mess? Like I've done all this to myself, like et cetera, et cetera. But this is just normal human behavior, right? We're all the same. We all have this brain that wants us to be safe. And when it feels unsafe, it tries to do things to keep us, surviving. But in reality, in our world, in the world of inner struggles, there is no threat, right? But my point here is that if we go in the direction of self-criticism, then we're again creating more friction. And there's another thing now we try to fix, and another thing that we're resisting, et cetera, et cetera. So this all is an invitation for self-kindness, just seeing that, again, you're just part of humanity, and the more kind and gentle we are with ourselves, the easier things become. Now, this is the part where you may go, yes, the self-kindness, Daniel. Yeah. I understand it in theory, but what can I do to be kind to myself? Well, the answer now becomes the open eye method. So here is my invitation to you. Yes, you, which is use the open eye method and let me know how you answered this question. I understand the theory behind self-kindness, Daniel, but what can I do to be kind to myself? So ponder this and let me know in the comment section. And I'm sure we will have a bunch of wonderful comments. And, competition, I think, is not something that is helpful in our world. So this is not a competition or anything like that. But I promise one of these wonderful answers that we'll have, I will pin it so that everyone can learn from your insight. We'll conclude there. Hope this brought a lot of value to you. And thank you for being here. Look forward to having you back real soon. Bye for now. Hi, it's me, Coach Daniel. I hope you found the video you just saw eye-opening and really, really helpful on your path towards peaceful sleep and peace of mind. we at the Sleep Coach School, we try to really do our best to put out a ton of helpful educational content. And if it leads you where you want to be, that is wonderful. In that case, please tell the world about our channel. Hit the like button, subscribe, get other people involved, and get them to find our teachings, because that can be so helpful to them. Now, on the other hand, there are some things that are not necessarily available in our free content, and that is community. Leaving the struggle can be quite a lonely journey. You can feel quite isolated. And when you join a community of people who are on their path of leaving insomnia, or who have already done so, then your path can be so much easier and lighter. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, then head over to our website, thesleepcoachschool.com, and you can learn about our Insomnia Immunity program there. And if you decide to join, then we can't wait to see you on the other side.